do the little thing. And when he goes to push Stone Cold, Mike carried a lot of cash all the time. So he had probably 50, 100,000 in his blazer pocket. And the momentum of when he pushed him, it fell out.
Parallax. You are now tuned into the Parallax Effect. It's not the message, it's the messenger. What up, Ryan? It's time. Parallax. Oatmeal's better than no meal. Guess who's back to make mountains out of molehills? If this don't move you, I bet my folks will. This beat's smooth, but trust me, there ain't no chill. Ask Ryan, if I'm lying, I'm flying. It's the sculpture of all aspects of the culture. Parallax. The People's Podcast is back, laying it down flat for you wherever you at. Your job, or your car, or your jog, or your flight. Loads of archives with no ending in sight. Hitting on any topic, long as it ain't no nonsense. You can see the others for the drama and the gossip. Word to Brett, best there ever was, recognize it. Never secondary, my eyes stay on the pocket. Parallax. And if you feeling the vibes, give us 5 stars. Oh, and follow and subscribe. Parallax. Sit back and recline, relax and enjoy the ride. Cause it's that Parallax. And you just passed the test. This is the Parallax Effect. Come on, Parallax. Sit back and recline, relax and enjoy the ride. Cause it's that Parallax. And you're here, that's mad respect. Welcome to the Parallax Effect. Yeah.
Another week, another episode. This is the Parallax Effect podcast, where we continue to navigate through the shifting tides of perspectives. I am your host, Ryan Lavelle. Thank you again for choosing our show. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your ears and or eyes if you are watching us on YouTube. Everything is always appreciated. Let me remind you, as always, that you can follow us on Instagram at Parallax Effect Media, on Facebook at the Parallax Effect Podcast, on Twitter at Parallax Effects. Once again, that's Parallax Effects with an S. And we have finally joined TikTok. I don't know what took us so long, but we are there at Parallax Effect Media. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link is in the show description, as well as on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Okay, here we go. As always, we're going to get right into it. Allow me to introduce today's guest. I have known this individual for literally my entire life, as his family and my family connected way back in the 70s and have remained thick as thieves until this day. He is a well-known and well-experienced citizen of the Pasadena, California, and greater Los Angeles area, who is often sought after by people like myself for sound and clairvoyant advice. We're going to hear that today. He is an artful and skillful cosmetologist who is responsible for many haircuts/hairstyles you have seen on some of your favorite celebrities. And he is co-owner and co-creator, along with his partner, deLara, shout out to her, of Bomb Projects, select ball python breeders, and the very first sponsor to our show here at the Parallax Effect Podcast. So it is only right that with much anticipation, we welcome Kylan Gamell to the Parallax Effect Podcast. Talk to him, Kylan.
Really, is there anything else I can say? Man, appreciate all the kind words.
We put up the bat signal. He looked up in the air. He saw it, and he knew right where to go, and that was Studio 7. I call it Studio 7 because
That's
TNT's got whatever, Studio J and all that. We needed to label
Studio
it, right?
7.
Studio
Lucky
7.
Studio 7.
Lucky Studio 7, indeed. Kylan, we obviously mentioned in the intro, Pasadena, born and bred. What were some highlights? Let's get right into it. What were some highlights from your childhood? Like, where did you meet my older siblings? We're going to talk about a little bit here on the show. How did you meet them?
Man, funny. I met Spice, your older brother, Michael, in first grade at McKinley Elementary. And we've been thick as thieves ever since. It's funny because, I want to say it's weird. We met in school and then find out that he literally, 2 houses from me. You lived on Maiden Lane, I lived on Mar Vista, and our backyards, the corner of the backyards connected. It's crazy how small the world is.
Right.
And once I found that out, I was either here or he was over there.
Right.
So yeah, it was just,
history had started to be written at that time. What were those? So we were talking with my sister Kim earlier a little bit before the show started about some of those days as a youth, and who was picking the fights and who was putting them out and who was doing this and who was doing that. What was that like?
It was good times, man. I was always the runt. I was a late bloomer. Everybody else was bigger than me. So, especially your older sister, she's the oldest. I like to say that. She was the, like big sis, the enforcer. So she didn't play.
She didn't play around at all.
She flunked recess.
And she'll be on at a future episode to clarify or rectify some of the statements made today. But yeah, definitely a great friendship amongst you, your sister, my siblings, and several others in the surrounding community ensued, right? And so that carried on into
Pasadena's it's an interesting place. It's almost like country. Like it has a country feel. The people that are from here are, tight. Everybody knows everybody. We look after each other. And we're only 7 miles north of downtown LA. So it's, you're close to the city, but not really.
Right.
Hood adjacent,
a little bit hood removed, but still a lot of great stories to tell here in Pasadena growing up. What were some of your favorite memories running these streets?
Man, I have so many. It's funny. I was telling my kids, when you get older, there's only 2 things that you remember in life. Something that's really traumatic or something that was really enjoyable. Everything else in between is a blur, So you either remember you got hurt or somebody died or something like that, or it was your first time in Magic Mountain or, Disneyland or, birthday party or something like that. Everything else passes you by.
Right.
So you kind of really got to relish every minute, man. It goes by quick.
It goes by really quick. For all you youngsters out there who are maybe still in high school or just finishing or whatever, please heed to that advice, because you'll look up one day and just wonder where all the time went. And you probably heard people say that, but trust.
Yeah, that's funny, because if you always hear something as a cliche, it's a cliche for a reason. There's some validity in that, so slow down and smell the flowers, man. Mm-hmm. That's real.
Too real. And what were some, speaking of being in high school, coming out, what was, as life started to get real, what were your expectations? What did you want to do post high school? How did you address those moments?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't know what I wanted to do, to be honest. I kind of just floated through high school, just barely made it, skated by. And to see, friends and other associates from school going off to college, or I got accepted here, I'm going there, I'm going, about 3 or 4 months before graduation is when it set in, like, well, what are you going to do? And then I had an older cousin who was into electronics. He had just finished DeVry, and he was working at JPL. And I was like, well, electronics that was the new thing. I graduated in 87, so it was just, internet hadn't started yet, but electronics, it was the new thing. Computers, that's all you heard. So I was like, okay, if I can fix computers, and that should be recession proof. So, I went to college to do that and got a degree, got out, got a job. And it took me 4 hours to figure out that wasn't for me.
So your first 4 hours in the job.
First 4, man. Clocked in at 8, clocked out at 12 for lunch, and I never went back.
Never went back.
Nah. I didn't even, I don't even know if they sent me a check. That was it.
But that was quick enough to know. So what was it about? Was it being centralized in one location?
I think, that's, I'm an outspoken, outgoing person. You know, I'm a people person. And to, you know, I'll never forget, it was a company in Monrovia called High Rail Technologies. And, you know, the department that I was working in was 2 floors underground. And it was me and one other guy fixing computers. So we're sitting in there staring at this oscilloscope, you know, checking on the computers and how they're working. And I look over trying to make, you know, just general conversation. He wasn't having it. You know, I shout out to all the nerds, but he was a super nerd.
Right.
So I was like, this is whack. I hate this. You know, I couldn't wait to leave. It only took me 4 hours to figure it out. So,
Right.
Yeah, that was the quickest $80,000 I spent in my life on the college education.
Come in,
and I
figure
know,
out.
You know, for you people out there now, 80,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but minimum wage in '87 was $2.80.
$2.80.
So $80,000 was a lot of money.
Yes, that must have been a huge mountain to think about, and to have the I guess resilience to say and to not be burdened by that $80,000 and say this isn't for me.
Yeah, it wasn't for me, man. I gotta move on.
Yeah.
So you know, I did that. I quit, and my sister was doing hair already. So I said, you know what? She's making a boatload of money.
Yeah.
Looks like fun. She's always interacting with people. You know, let me try it. So I went to cosmetology school and knocked that out.
Right.
Got out and, man, didn't look back. You know, I sat behind a chair for 20 plus years.
Right.
Yeah.
So
good times.
Early 20s, you're already on your second, mastering your second career, second skill, developing everything. So cosmetology comes around, you do your thing, you become a professional. And what were those first 4 hours like? Now you're in a different setting. You get to talk to folks.
You know, even in cosmetology school, my sister was working in a salon, so I was assisting her, you know, washing heads and doing grunt work. So it wasn't even like a transition. It just fell right in. You know, I couldn't wait to do my own clients instead of getting paid, you know, per wash.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good. I mean, good times, man.
Good times.
I loved it. You know, it was fun. I'd say probably 15 years in is when I started burning out. Yeah. And then I gave it another 10, and I was like, I'm out.
But 15 years and then 10 more after that is a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Those were some of my first memories of you, besides, you know, growing up and trying to follow y'all around the house and stuff like that and try to be like you guys.
It was always,
and dress like you guys. It's good that we got same hats and same shirts now, so I lived up to that expectation.
That's funny.
And we'll get into what we're wearing and what that means for your company when we talk about Bomb Projects a little bit later. But those were some of my first memories, was going to you. My dad took me down to the shop to get my hair cut by you. My dad was obviously very fond of you just as a person in general. So that worked out really well.
That was my dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
Man. So, you know, both of our parents have, you know, moved on to the other side. We miss them a lot, but we give a big shout out to the environment they set up for us.
Yep.
But yeah, the first haircut I got from you, I was hooked. Like, I don't want a haircut from anybody else. Don't take me to Supercuts. No offense to those places, but that was like, so I viewed you as like my personal barber. Right.
Oh yeah.
So I took that very seriously because I thought, and I remember there was a Sean Kemp haircut that you gave me with the little landing strip, or the takeoff strip, whatever you call it, in the front, the little ramp,
the little pompadour.
The little pompadour in the front. Yeah, that was the haircut that I got. But yeah, just being in the shop with you and all your associates, your contemporaries, was a very fun experience too, because it introduced me to dialogue, to debate.
Oh, for sure. I mean, shout out to all the barbershops out there, man. Black barbershops. I've been in a couple of white ones and some Spanish ones. Nothing like a black barbershop. Right. Man. Nothing like it.
And we know that movies like Barbershop, Beauty Shop, I'm kind of put it on the mainstream.
Yeah, it's just like that.
But some of those conversations that you would run in, like a lot of sports debate, obviously.
You're going to debate everything.
Everything. Politics. And back then when politics wasn't a dirty word.
Everything is a bet.
Everything is a bet. Yeah, bet that. Yeah,
Yeah, bet it.
Yeah,
Bet that. You probably hear that more in a black barbershop than in Las Vegas.
Right. And just for those that aren't that familiar, you would even get people that would, and just like in the movie that would walk in without an appointment to get a haircut just to come in and chat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They
We had
just
some weekly characters that would just show up.
Yeah.
No haircut needed.
Right.
Or they got a haircut 2 days before that and still stop by. It's almost like Cheers.
Yeah.
Just come in and shoot the shit.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. Definitely like Cheers. So some of those moments were my favorite growing up because, like I said, it taught me how to debate. It taught me how to have an opinion. And because at first, when we were younger, we were kind of afraid to get in there.
Right, yeah. You didn't want to voice your opinion.
Yeah, you didn't really know what somebody would say. But then once you got that first taste of getting into a...
And it's funny because you working in the barbershop and then people that are in the barbershop on a regular basis, it really didn't matter. You know what I mean? Like you said, you were kind of intimidated, but once you got in and saw like, oh, damn, I can speak. I got a voice. Then you feel empowered, but that's just how it is. It didn't matter who was talking. If you had something good to say, that's it.
Right.
Yeah, you can jump right in.
Jump right on in there.
Yeah.
So did your skills for conversation, skills of debate, come before the times you spent in the barbershop?
Sure.
So you brought that with you.
Yeah. I was raised in a self-employed environment, and my dad was a natural talker, and as was my mom. So that's the social skills was just it dripped on me. Unconsciously. Like I didn't have to do it. Thank God. My parents just blessed me with that, just being around them.
Right.
So talking was never an issue.
And what were some of those early lessons or early things you took away from your parents that you would use, early in your life, later on in your life, whether that be the employment that you sought or the friends the relationship that you developed? Like
right.
What were some of those?
I just, like you said, people that you admire, you want to be like. So you just pretty much try to mirror whatever they do. That's pretty much how I live my life. My parents were always super kind to anybody. It didn't matter race, color, or creed. Until you crossed them, you were family. So I just took that and ran with it.
Right. And some of those relationships that you developed ended up working out in your favor as a barber, right? Because
oh yeah, for sure.
You're a little humble about it, right? I would tell you if there was a cosmetology Hall of Fame, which I don't think there is, but there probably should be. Maybe we can make that.
Funny.
You would definitely be in it. And so your skill, your prowess in that area introduced you to several celebrity clients that you once developed.
Yeah.
Like, how did that start? What kind of initiated that?
It started pretty early. I was probably 2 years behind the chair. And, our good friend Eric, he was working in the industry.
Yeah, shout out to Eric Antoine.
Yeah, when I say industry, meaning like Hollywood. And he was doing a lot of music videos for a guy named Lionel Martin, who was, the man. Hype Williams became the man, but, when I met Lionel, Hype Williams was his assistant. So, he did if there was a black music video, he did it. Lionel was the one. R&B, hip hop, whatever. It didn't matter. So Eric was working on one of those sets and, voiced his opinion. He vouched for me basically and said, if you ever need anybody, I got my boy, look out. And sure enough, he called me one day, 4:30 in the morning. I get a beep on my beeper, man, what number is this? I was basically going to shine it off. It's 4:30 in the morning, but my daughter's mom was, she was one of them women. Man, who is that? Call them
right now.
Yeah, we need to find out who's calling you at 4:30. So I end up calling him back, and he's like, "Yeah, I need you in Malibu by 7:30. Think you can make it?" I said, "Absolutely." And jumped in the car, drove all the way out there, and sure enough, for a music video for Boys to Men, and so I got to hang out with them. I didn't actually cut anybody's hair that day. Their barber actually ended up showing up on time. But, Lionel looked out for me anyway, paid me for the day, said, hang out, just chill. I did that. That was good. Got paid to do nothing, basically. And then I'd say maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, he was shooting another video and called me. And that one I was actually cutting hair. And then he saw me cut somebody's hair.
Right.
Then I started cutting his hair on a regular basis. You know, I guess that was like the test drive. Let me see how he does. And that worked out. Me and Lionel were, you know, tight for years. So he would always hook me up with different celebrities. And then I guess that celebrities talk amongst celebrities, you know, who cut your hair, who did that. And then kind of just took off from there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so kind of hearing some of those stories early on, so some of them I don't even know to this day, but it had influenced me mistakenly to try to imitate you, right? So I go off to college, and some of my roommates, oh, I need a haircut. Like, oh, I got some clippers. Sit right in the middle.
Don't worry about it.
My cousin does this. I can do it too.
I got it.
I'm not going to say it turned out that good.
Right.
But it also wasn't that bad. But it definitely wasn't anything of your quality. But anyway, that was the type of influence that you had on folks like me. To like, you made it look so easy. I felt like I could do it until I figured out it wasn't that easy.
I know.
So,
but that's life, though.
Yeah.
You know, people that are good at whatever they do, they make it look easy.
Right.
And you think, oh, man, I got that.
Let me go try that.
Yeah, you seen a dude lay floors in your house. You're like, man, I can buy a saw and do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Until you
can't.
Until you buy the saw and figure it all out.
You end up paying for floors twice.
So Lionel, shout out to Lionel, got you started as far as, you know, getting your name out there in the community. And also one of the earlier memories I have is when you came up to the house on Alzada Road and you gave me a Team Tyson polo.
Oh,
and it had a logo of Mike Tyson right here, and it said Team Tyson below it. And I wore it to school the next day, like, yo, I'm part of Team Tyson. The evidence is right here.
You see it.
So how did that relationship? How did you become a part of Team Tyson?
So a shop I was working in, this girl named Kim McMickens, she owned the shop, and my sister worked there too as well. She was dating a guy named Anthony Pitts, who was at the time was Mike Tyson's bodyguard. You know, back then you're like, man, when he told me that doesn't even sound believable.
Right.
Like, Mike doesn't need a bodyguard. We're talking about the baddest man on the planet. What are you talking about? You bodyguarding him? Is he bodyguarding you? You know, it was like a running joke. And sure enough, it was true. He was, you know, bodyguarding for Mike. And so me and him became pretty good friends. And he like obviously liked what I did, and he's like, man, you know, I'm gonna hook you up. Well, you know, fast forward about a year after that, Mike went to jail, and so that never came to fruition. I didn't get a chance to do Mike's hair yet. And so when he went to jail, Anthony started working for Magic Johnson, and he immediately pulled me in with Magic Johnson. So I started working for Magic, and maybe the third time over there, Magic's like, hey, I'm going to put you on payroll. I was like, what? So I'm on payroll, but I can still work in the shop. He's like, yeah, I'll send you an itinerary every Sunday, you know, of what I'm scheduled to do that week. And you got plenty of time to work in the shop. So I had like 2 gigs. It was the best of both worlds. It was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's when it really like snowballed into, you know, like hairstylist to the stars, should you say.
Right.
Yeah, so that was good time.
Shout out to Anthony. Anthony, big dog. We got to get you on the show. So
Anthony bless me. Yeah, we definitely going to get Anthony on.
Yeah, we need to
probably going to be a marathon show.
Yeah, Anthony,
he's got stories.
Anthony's a great storyteller. So we do the Christmas show, the marathon. We'll have Anthony on. So we look forward to chatting with you, big homie. We appreciate you, man. But speaking of Anthony, he had a wedding at that time, right?
Yeah, so that's funny. That's funny now looking back. Anthony, I was in the wedding. I was one of his groomsmen, and so was Mike. And that's the same weekend that Mike got that rape case. He went out there. He was supposed to go to this beauty pageant, be a judge, and then fly into the wedding on Saturday. Well, he met that chick. She stayed an extra day. He missed the wedding and caught a case. So we always used to tease him like, See, if you'd have had your ass where you were supposed to be, this would have never happened. But, you know, I guess it was in the cards for him.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And so that kind of also, you know, like you said, altered your professional kind of career.
Sure.
You go to work for Magic Johnson for a while.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything
man.
happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So when Mike, when everything cleared up for Mike, did he come calling back?
So he got out of, so that was 93. So I was with Magic Johnson from 93 to early 97. When Mike got out, you know, he immediately called Anthony, pulled him back. And next thing you know, Anthony's like, hey, I need you to cut Mike's hair. Went and cut his hair one time. And then I don't know their conversation behind the scenes, but he's like, hey, you got to come work for Mike. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. What's Magic paying you? Yeah, well, he's going to double it. What? Nah, I can't do that. You know, so it's funny. I'll never forget, we went to one of his fights, Mike's fights. Me and Magic, he had his own limousine, so we drove up to Vegas. Well, I drove. Magic flew. I picked him up from the airport. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear about that one,
He
huh?
didn't drive up there with me.
You dropped him off and picked him up from the airport.
Exactly. Now you understand. It was like Mr. Deeds.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell did you get to the top floor that quick?
Right.
Yeah, I got the bags and I'm here.
All right.
Yeah. So we're in Vegas for the fight, and Anthony calls me in the room, you know, like, hey, man, I need you to come to the house right now. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I'm up here with Magic. He's like, man, what are you going to do? I said, what do you mean what I'm going to do? I work for Magic. I'm here, bro. Like, that's what it is. He's like, nah, man, come on. You can come on over. I said, nah, I don't do that. You know, loyalty's everything to me, right? So he's like, man, well, if Magic says it's okay, then will you come? I was like, he ain't going to say that. He's like, I'll call you back. So he hung us up the phone. I'm sitting in there watching like ESPN or something in the hotel. I'm in this room. Magic's in the room next to me. And about 15 minutes later, somebody's knocking on my hotel door. I thought it was like housekeeping or something, whatever. I get up and it's Magic. Like, hey, what up? We ready to go? Like, what's up? He's like, nah, man, just wanted to say congratulations. What are you talking about? I gave him that. What you talking about, Willis? He's like, yeah, you know, you working for Mike now. I said, what? Yeah, Anthony, I just got off the phone with Anthony. So I don't know the conversation that Anthony had with Magic or whatever. And they're like, yeah, the car's downstairs waiting on you, man. I'm like, what? You serious? He's like, yeah, you know, enjoy.
I'll see you later.
And that's when the roller coaster started, man.
Roller coaster started.
Yeah.
Like we just said, Anthony has his way with words, which you're all gonna find out.
Persuasive, for
yes,
sure.
indeed. Which you are all gonna get a case of here on the Parallax Effect podcast. But we are here with Kylan Gamell, who in 1997 went back to the camp of Mike Tyson, Team Tyson, and that is when I noticed you on a show that I watch weekly. That's WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that
and
was funny.
there was this build up to WrestleMania 14. The main event was Stone Cold Steve Austin against Shawn Michaels, and they brought Mike Tyson in as the special guest enforcer. Kind of one of those special titles they give to celebrities that come on in, but they brought him on Monday Night Raw for a face-to-face with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was one of the most electric moments in the history of Monday Night Raw.
Crazy.
So I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, cool, Mike Tyson's coming down, and I'm looking closely at who's walking with him, and of course, Kylan, because he's basically taller than anybody in Mike's camp. I can clearly see him, like clear as day, and I'm like,
that's funny.
He's at Monday Night Raw. And then, you know, back then we didn't have text messages.
Nah,
you know.
none of that. You couldn't call me. Well, I had a cell phone at that time, but I didn't give the number out.
Yeah, it wasn't like it is now where, you know, you had to really think about who you were calling because of the plans and all that kind of stuff. But, I saw you on there. And I was, I was already glued to the TV, but I was even more so because now my wrestling mind is thinking, is he going to take a bump? Like, did they do this rehearsal? Now I got to ask him.
How's this going down?
Yeah, so talk to me about how that developed.
Yeah, it was funny. They pitched that whole idea to Mike, about the whole Stone Cold thing. And this was Monday Night Raw. So it was in San Jose. I'll never forget. I had never been to San Jose, been in California my whole life. And so we Went up to San Jose on that Sunday. We flew in Saturday, guys. Had dinner with Vince McMahon and damn, what's his son's name? Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had dinner with them. They were just briefly talking and said, okay, Sunday, come to the arena. We'll do like a walkthrough. You can meet everybody, whatever. So Sunday we go over to the arena that it was going to be at. And that's when I first, I used to like wrestling. And I stopped watching it for probably 10, 12 years. And being backstage in the arena, nobody's in there,
right?
But the wrestlers. And when you watch wrestling, there's that is scripted, but you want to believe the storylines and all that, right? So being behind the scenes and seeing how it's like a real operation was pretty, I was fascinated in there. And not only that, to see these wrestlers in person was kind of I was kind of geeking out, like, damn, this is crazy.
Right.
And to see how big they were in real life. Like, these some big humans.
Right.
And at the time, what was the big girl's name?
China.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, China.
Bro, R.I.P. Man, China's such a sweetheart, too. Mm-hmm. She was damn near as tall as me.
Right.
And twice as thick. I'm sitting in there like, damn, this is crazy. So we're talking, and they're geeking out over Mike. I'm geeking out over them, so they're telling us how we're going to do this and go to the ring. He's going to push them and, the whole thing. We do a little walkthrough. Nobody's in there. Everything's good. All right, come back Monday,
Right.
Get here an hour before the show starts and whatever. So we pull in, you drive under the arena. We're not coming in with the regular people. So
right.
I don't even know what to expect.
Right.
I've walked in fights with Mike, and that's pretty damn crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can multiply that by 10.
Wow.
Right? So we standing behind the curtain, and guys with the headphones like, all right, you guys ready? In 5, 4. And they open the curtains, and there wasn't even a ramp when we did the walkthrough.
Right.
Well, now we're on this ramp, like going through the middle of the arena,
right,
between seats. As soon as we walk out, they introduce Mike. Here comes Mike, and some fireworks go off. They didn't tell me that it was going to be
the pyro,
man. Pyrotechnics, man. We all like, what the hell? Flames and shit. Like, what the hell's going on? But I pulled it back quick.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I got to keep this act.
Right.
I swear I thought I was Denzel for 5 minutes, man.
Yeah.
I'm the equalizer.
You wore it well, too, because I remember your face down there like, man, he is really in the zone. That's why I thought, like.
And it's funny because I wanted to have tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
As we're walking, I was only focusing on what they asked us to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I start geeking out, looking at fans and billboards, and man, ain't no telling, I probably would have tripped off the little ramp,
right,
fell and broke my neck or something crazy. So I was hyper focused on the whole thing. And we get in the ring, and they do the little thing, and when he goes to push Stone Cold, Mike carried a lot of cash all the time. So he had probably 50, 100,000 in his blazer pocket. And the momentum of when he pushed him, it fell out. So it looked like a strip club, like hundreds everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So that's when the mayhem started.
Right.
That wasn't scripted.
Oh.
And from TV, you don't get to see that angle, right?
Right.
You just think it's a lot of pushing and shoving, like, damn, this is real.
Right.
Like, they're pissed. No, we trying to pick up all this money that fell on the floor. It was funny, but it all went off good. You know? And then we laughed about it later, like, damn, that wasn't even planned, but that was even better than what we scripted.
Even better than what, because everybody was everywhere, and I remember, and I couldn't tell if it was Anthony, but somebody was getting pulled on the. I have to watch it again, but somebody was getting pulled on the leg. Yeah. Somebody definitely took some punches.
If there's some background footage,
it
would be cool to see. Like, I'm sure they have probably 20 different cameras,
right,
to see it all. To see that mayhem, it was crazy.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a pleasurable surprise seeing you out there with Mike, and it all went down Stone Cold.
So many people that I hadn't talked to in years that I didn't even know were wrestling fans were blowing me up. Bro, what the hell you doing out there? What's going on? It was funny. I'm telling you, I felt like a celebrity for maybe a week
Right.
You know, it was all the calls I got and stuff. It was hilarious.
Man, it's
hilarious.
It's a crazy environment. It's definitely electric, just like you said. Kind of comparing it to the feel of Mike Tyson fights, where I know that obviously
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you that I've never felt anything like that. Like you always hear, the hairs on my back were standing up.
Right.
It was crazy. It felt like that.
What a moment.
It was for real.
The build up to WrestleMania 14. Mike ends up turning on Shawn Michaels and ends up raising Stone Cold's hand as he won the match. So that was a good little twist to
funny.
the whole kind of setup. But what a time, man. What a time for sure. So after, you're with Mike for a couple years during, were you with him during the Evander Holyfield fight too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were with him at that moment. What was that night like?
It's funny, that particular fight, it was my job to basically watch over his wife at the time and, his kid's mom. Like she was 9 months pregnant. So she was due any day. Mm-hmm. And, I'm supposed to take her and her friends to the fight, right? So we laid back at his house. They had already went to the arena. And she just made a game time decision like, nah, I'm not going to go. Like order the fight here. We're going to stay here, right? Order some food, whatever. And I was, for my own selfish reasons, was kind of like butthurt. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's my job. I got to stay here, right? So we ordered a fight. I put it on. Mike, at the time, they had like screens, right? But the clarity wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember.
So Mike built a wall of TVs. I want to say it was probably 60 32-inch TVs.
Oh, my goodness.
They were all synced, so it looked like one picture. But the picture was super sharp. It was crisp. So they were out in the main room watching that TV. I was in this TV room off the kitchen watching the fight. And... you could hear him, oh, yeah, no, what? You can hear him talking or whatever. And I was recording it in there. And when he bit his ear, it got, like, silent in the house.
Right.
Because everybody's trying to process, like, did I see what I saw? And then probably about 20 seconds of silence. Then you hear... Yeah, fuck that. He deserved that shit. Yeah, them headbutts and they were going crazy, and I was sitting there in shock, like, damn, that's nuts.
Right.
And watched it all unfold, and then he drives back to the house, and it was a hot summer night. We sat out there in his front yard. He had this big ass moat, with water features and falls and stuff. We were all sitting out there.
Drawbridge and all that.
Yeah, I'll never forget. The doctor came to the house. He went inside for, like maybe 10 minutes, came back. He had like 7 stitches or something above his eyebrow, where Holyfield had headbutted him. And, we just sat out there, talked about it, whatever. But that was like another, when we talk about what do you remember? Like those are memories you'll never forget.
Right.
Like things like that. But, I worked for him off and on for probably 6 years. And I can give you, those are type of events.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
And I wanted to
so much stuff that
follow that up with like, we know those, like we talked earlier about, Mike going to jail and the Holyfield incident, but you also seen Mike in his more humanitarian ways, some stuff that he doesn't like to talk about.
On a day-to-day, yeah. Mike that dude he's a special guy, man. Literally. He's probably one of the most generous people I've ever met. Celebrity or non-celebrity. Like he's about it, man. I'll never forget, there's a white bum that used to hang out. So Mike's house was south of the airport in Vegas. And at the time, none of that area was really developed. It was a big park. One corner was the airport. Another corner was a business park. And then there was a park. And then an empty field. And then there was Wayne Newton and Mike's house on this street. But there was a bum that always would hang out on this corner of Sunset and Eastern, where you turn to go down to his street. White guy. And, one day we pull up to the light. And Mike's, roll down the window, give him something. You don't even know what he gave him, right? So we drive to the house, and about 30 minutes later, somebody's ringing the gate. He had these 20-foot walls, so you couldn't even see in the property.
Right.
Look on the camera. It's like, hey, man, I think it's that guy from, I think it was that bum up the street. It's like, what? Let him in. He lets the guy in, and, he brought Mike, unbeknownst to us, it gave this dude like $10,000 in cash. And the white guy brought the money back to the house.
Didn't want it.
It's like, nah, I can't take this,
Wow.
Mike's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, go get you an apartment for a year, or, get you whatever you want. Like, that's yours. I don't want it back. And he's like, nah, I can't do that. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, man, I'll probably either one, kill myself from all the drugs I'm going to buy, or if these other bums in the street know that I got this money, they going to kill me. He's like, yeah, this is a curse.
Yeah.
I know it's a gift, but it's a curse.
Right.
I don't want it. Like, I'll do something stupid. It's funny to think that, he actually thought like that.
Right.
Super humble guy. They became friends, and basically Mike told everybody that worked for him, if this dude needs anything, if he got to come take a shower, he needs to use a car, he got full access to the pad at any time, right?
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, he never used it.
Wow. He didn't ever cash in.
He stayed on the street. Yeah, he just lived on the street. He was content with his life. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate my life. But it's things like that. Like you said, you never forget. We were in Arizona watching the news, and a little girl had got killed in a drive-by. Gangbangers, they don't know how to shoot. So they spray up this apartment or whatever and end up shooting this little white girl. And, they lived in the hood. They didn't have any money. So the news does a report, so they talk about it, and then at the end of the report, they're like, hey, if anybody want to help donate for the funeral costs or whatever, call this number. So Mike's like, hey, get the number, hurry up. I write down the numbers, like, call the station, find out how much it costs to bury this girl. So I called the station. I think it was like $11,000 or something like that. So Mike's like, all right, let's go to the bank. He takes out $20,000 cash, then tells me to give it to them. I said, Mike, why you don't give it to him? Like, you the one doing it. He's like, if I do it, they gonna spend it. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this dude's so smart. Like, he thought about that. I don't even want that attention. That's what he's like. No, you do it.
Wow.
They don't need to know where it came from. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Just, let's bury the girl. Like, those are the type of things that he would do on a daily basis.
Right.
Like, I've seen that dude give away more money than he probably made. That's just the dude that he is, man. He's just a real, down to earth humanitarian.
And that's we want to highlight that here on the Parallax Effect podcast. Shout out to you, Mike. You're more than welcome on the show. If you happen to watch, we would be happy to have you, man, just to have a conversation.
Oh man, that dude's one of the smartest people I ever met.
Right. And I like how
historian.
He's telling his own story now, right? He's getting up in front of people talking. Yeah. Even with the Vander, the ear gummies that they do, like they've made like a partnership out of what we would perceive to be a negative event. So I really like that Mike is doing that, man. I'm happy where he's at.
Oh man, he's in a good place.
Yeah, and that's good. Phenomenal. And also, I wanted to ask because I think we were talking about folks like Eddie Murphy.
Another solid dude, man.
How'd you get involved with him? Do you have any memories with him?
Eddie Murphy, man, it's funny. I was golfing one day with a guy that worked for him, James Arsenal. Shout out James. We're talking, and people talk all the time. And he's like, yeah, I work for Eddie Murphy. I was like, oh. Okay. I didn't think nothing of it. So we finished golfing. He's like, hey, let me get your number. If you ever need somebody to cut his hair, I'll call you. I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. I gave him my number. 6 months goes by. He rings my phone. I didn't have his number programmed in. So anybody that knows me, if you call me and you're not programmed in my phone, you better leave a voicemail because I'm not picking it up.
I'm the same way.
So he left a voicemail. Hey, this is James. Call me back. I call him back, and he's like, hey, man, you think you can come cut Eddie's hair? Of course I can. Duh. So I go cut Eddie's hair, and, man, this dude just from day one, from the first time, he didn't know me from Adam. You know, from day one, he treated me like family, man. Just, you know, as soon as I walked in his house, you know, you hungry, you want anything, you need anything, don't ask, just get it. Like he's that dude, man,
right,
for real. And prior to me meeting him personally, you know, you have a perception of what you think people are.
Yeah,
man, complete opposite.
Complete
you know,
opposite.
The media try to put a spin on you and, you know, paint him as a dick or whatever.
I never forget in middle school, I think 7th, 8th grade, one of those, we learned about comedy in English, right?
Yeah.
And basically the books had said was like good comedy is like Shakespeare.
Oh yeah.
Bad comedy
yeah, exactly.
is Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy,
for some
right.
reason that always stuck in my head. Like,
Yeah.
why do they explain it like that?
Man, Shakespeare, come on, stop it, man.
It was just, you know, so like every time I hear you talk about Eddie, I love to hear, you know, the stories. And I don't know if they were talking about his style of comedy or
Right.
just hating on him as a person, but I always had a problem with that.
Yeah.
Of bad comedy, our comedy,
Hey.
you know, being because
People lie, numbers don't.
exactly.
He
Yep.
can't be that bad, huh?
Right.
He's the highest paid comedian ever in history.
And he's paved the way for some of these
Oh,
comedians
come on,
now
man.
selling out stadiums.
He's the Godfather, man.
He's it, man.
For
He's
sure.
it. So shout out to you too, Eddie, man. Thanks for all the laughs,
No,
man.
solid dude.
Yeah,
Solid dude.
definitely. And still doing it, man. Still making
Oh,
funny
yeah.
movies,
Yeah, he's
and
the
all
man.
that.
He's the man.
So yeah, your path takes you across all these, you know, amazing individuals
It's funny.
doing well.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of doors, you know, that I even sometimes I'm shocked. You know, how did I get here? It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm blessed. I'm thankful.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
humble.
Well, you're there because you were great at your craft. But were there any hardships in the time of being a cosmetologist, and that can even come to the point where you decided?
Not for me.
Okay,
Nah, no, never any hardships. Just nothing but good times, man.
excellent.
You know, it was that's, you know, when you're self-employed, it's one of those, if you don't work, you don't eat. Mm-hmm. And if you enjoy what you do, it's not work.
Right.
So it was all good for me.
All good. And then so why get burned out? How'd that play out?
Just got tired of doing it, man. You know, getting older, standing on my feet all day. You know, I never used to be allergic to anything. And I think, you know, from sucking in chemicals and hair and stuff all the time, now I'm allergic to stuff. You know, it wore me down, wore me out. I lost the love for it. So once that happened, I was just like, I'm out.
And so what was the next and what was the next step for you?
One of my good friends, Ron Walden, he was working at Nike at the time, and he's like, hey, man, you be good at, you know, sales. He was going to pull me into Nike, but I didn't have any experience or, you know, work history in that field. So he's like, hey, I got a couple buddies who own Shoe Palace, which was like a major shoe company at the time.
Still is kind of.
Yeah. Well, they just sold. Congratulations to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Mershons. And he linked me up with them, you know. So he said, here, get your feet wet, learn how to manage people, learn how to manage retail, and then, you know, you can transition from there. And so I'll never forget, I quit doing hair. And next thing you know, I'm managing a shoe palace, and people that I used to cut, I didn't tell anybody, but, you know, they walk in like, what the hell are you doing in here? Yeah, it's funny. So that was good times, though. I did that for about a year and some change. Yeah. And I was like, this ain't for me.
So the Shoe Palace on Hollywood and Highland, and once I found out you were there, I would go down there frequently to, you know, buy shoes.
That was like
and
their
socks.
flagship store.
The flagship store for sure. Because it was the flagship store, there was a lot of traffic in there. Yeah. So I remember one day I walked in there and we about to make the transaction. I forgot what pair of shoes I was buying.
It's funny. Just to put it in perspective, right? They always give you numbers. Our daily number for Monday through Thursday was 14,000.
Wow.
In sales a day, and weekend numbers were 50,000.
Wow.
Like that.
And what was the average? The company average?
Oh, average store?
Yeah.
Like their average stores, I want to say 5,000.
Wow.
Maybe.
So you
So
triple,
it was
quadruple.
Yeah, it was their flagship store. So
Yeah.
they built it as that in the location, in Hollywood, a lot of tourists and stuff. So it lived up to the hype.
Right.
I mean, those brothers, man, they knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing. Yeah, well designed
And they
too.
started from a swap meet.
Really?
It's crazy. They got a real interesting story, man. Those are some deep brothers, man.
Right.
They did that.
Yes, and it's still people shopping there today. Like you said, they sold, so it's good for
Yeah.
them. But yeah, I was saying, I remember I was just about to buy some shoes. We were ringing up at the register, and Method Man walks in.
Yeah.
And Method Man walks
Exactly.
in, and I swear it looked like y'all grew up together. Oh, what's up, dog? You guys, exhange,
Yeah, he's
handshakes.
a cool guy, man.
And I'm like, you know that
It's
guy?
funny too. Like right now, I have his number in my phone.
Yeah.
I just don't reach out. I don't
Why not?
do it.
Yeah. You just let him do his thing.
Yeah, let him live. I mean, I've texted him maybe after he came in a couple of times. I probably text him a few times. Hey, what's up, dog? Hope all's well. But yeah, leave people alone, man. He's got enough people on his schedule.
Very
Shit.
true.
You
Very
know
true.
what I mean?
Well, I had looked back and, because I'm a Method Man fan, and I'm like, you don't know, because like you said, your perception of people, you don't know. Some people don't want to be bothered. You think I can go say what's up to him? Yeah, go right over there.
Exactly.
So I walk up to him, hey, Method Man, just whatever. And I think I was, at the time, I had just got done binging The Wire. So I was like, what's up, Cheese Wagstaff, or whatever I said. And he stopped, talked to me, took a picture with me, and he leaned in on me, and he said, basically, make sure you tell him I'm a real homie. He didn't use those exact words.
Right, yeah.
But he basically said, like, make sure you tell them I'm a real dude.
Right,
And I'm
yeah.
like, man, whoever I meet, I'll tell him.
Nah, for sure. Meth is,
so-
that's a solid dude.
Shout
man.
out to you, Meth, for sure. You're doing your
Yeah.
thing, man. I got you on
Solid
IG,
dude.
so I see you staying in shape, man. Getting the,
Oh, man, he's on Super Swole
yeah,
now.
he's on Super Swole, man. He's doing well in his career, and I'm
Yeah.
really happy that that he's is
A
continuing to
lot
grow.
of people came to that store, man. It's funny. You know who came there? That, I don't really geek out on people. Mm-hmm. And if I am geeking out, you're not going to know. I got a poker face on. Mm-hmm. Deion Sanders came in there.
Deion Prime.
He brought his two boys with him. And it's funny because the Mershon brothers, who owned it at the time, was always an unwritten rule. If a celebrity comes in, they don't pay. Like, don't charge them.
Right.
All you're gonna need to do is just get them get a picture of them holding
Yeah.
Shoe Palace bags.
Promote the brand.
Yeah, basically, it's like
Yeah.
advertisement.
Right.
Don't worry about whatever they get, right?
Right.
And I'll never forget, man, Deion, man, his boys came in there and they bought some Timberlands and some Nikes or some other stuff, and he's like, "Nah, I'm paying." I was like, "Nah, it's no charge." He's like, "Nothing in life is free." And I'll take the picture.
Right.
I'll hold the bags, take the picture. I'll do all that. But you're going to take my
But
money.
you're gonna take the money, man.
I said, mad respect, man.
Coach Prime.
Deion, he's a beast, man. He's
Yeah.
a real one, man.
He
Solid
is.
dude.
And I'm so
Solid
happy
dude.
it's for
So
him
down
in
to
Colorado,
earth.
too.
Oh, he's killing it,
Yeah,
man.
it's
Killing it.
So great to see, and
He's a motivator of men, man.
So to me, there's folks who kind of change their given industry or sport, right? And obviously, he made the defensive back, punt returning, stuff like that. That's what I'm saying.
He did it all, man.
But he also
He
changed
played
like
both sides of the ball.
Well,
He
played
was
both sides of
receiver
the ball,
sometimes.
but he
then
also
played
was
baseball.
like, yeah,
Like,
he
this
did
dude
all
was-
that, and he also was like a fashion icon of the league.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
he brought
back in the day,
yeah.
he was cold. Shit,
Yeah.
He had a rap song.
Right.
Man, come on.
Yeah, so-
Deion was, hey, I'm telling you.
One of a kind, Deion Sanders.
He's that dude, for sure.
Yeah, he is for sure.
That was
man.
going back to the barbershop, that we would debate that on a, often basis.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say regular, but I was always barking for Deion.
Yeah.
People would say Bo Jackson. I'm like, man, are you crazy? Like, you can't have a year and a half of body as your work.
right. That's
And
too.
be
That's too narrow.
considered the great.
Right.
It's just like the argument with Tupac and Biggie. Mm-hmm. He had 1.5 albums. Like, I'm sorry, Biggie. Yeah, that 1.5 albums was good, but there's no longevity.
Right.
I
Tupac got a
you got to
catalog.
give me a little more, man.
Right.
You don't have enough body of work. And
Right.
then it's always if. If he didn't get killed, if Bo didn't get hurt. We can't go on ifs and nuts and candies and butts. That's what we got to deal with.
That's what we got.
So this is what it is.
Yes.
It's funny.
And those debates again are just are classic because they go on. They stand the test of time.
Yeah, the debates is funny.
And
but that's parallax effect.
That's the parallax effect right there, man. If that is a quintessential definition of the show, of painting perspectives and getting people's opinions and ideas and letting them come to the surface, letting them see the light of day. That's what we do here at the Parallax Effect with Kylan Gamell.
No doubt.
So Shoe Palace, a good experience. Hollywood and Highland, the flagship store. You're doing your thing, and you decided it's time to move on.
I said I'm out. I had another buddy who was selling insurance, and my dad used to sell insurance. I never saw him do it. I was too young by the time he retired, so I was like, shit, let me do that. Went and got my insurance license, was killing it. And I just had a boss that was a real jerk, I don't know what her problem was,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's a female, male thing, whatever, just she was a jerk. She wasn't a good manager of people.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
She was, I didn't like her style. So that put a bad taste in my mouth. And, I still got my insurance license. I still sell insurance, but that basically, led into the Bomb Projects.
The Bomb Projects, which is the next stop we were going on here with Kylan Gamell on the Parallax Effect. So how many years did you put into selling insurance? And then
just a couple.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm still licensed, still sell now.
But as a primary gig.
Yeah, as solo, that's all I did. I did it hard for maybe 3 years.
3 years or so. So we pushed forward 3 years. And
now it's the 2020 coming up.
2020 was a pandemic.
Pandemic
that changed
hits,
things.
So now ain't nothing happening.
Right.
Nobody's moving, nobody's doing nothing. I was like, what, I'm going to give me another snake. I've had snakes since I got out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
When you live under a black family roof, you can have any pet with legs.
Yep, we had them all too.
You can't have nothing legless.
Uh-huh.
And so next thing you know, I was like, that was the first thing I wanted to do. So as soon as I got out of high school and moved out, I got a snake.
Right.
Lost it, showing it off, left it in the car, whatever. It got away. Then maybe 3 or 4 years after that, I got another one, raised it up, got tired of it, sold it, had kids, bought another one, got rid of that one, bought lizards and all that. And then so pandemic hit, nobody's moving. I'm on the internet messing around, come across, a piebald. And it's funny because my buddy Chad, who was doing it for years, I saw a piebald on the internet like in 2006. And it was a picture, the first one I saw. I was like, that's Photoshop. That ain't real.
Right.
Right.
And what's a piebald?
It's a mutation of the snake.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a pattern and then white and then pattern.
Uh-huh.
And when I say white, it's white.
Mm-hmm.
Albinos are like pinkish.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is white. So when I saw it, I was like, nah, there's no way that's real. I did research on it, and it was $50,000 for one.
Wow.
And back then in 2006, I was like, well, I guess I won't be getting none of those.
Right.
Right. So fast forward to pandemic, I'm on the internet looking it up, and I found a piebald for $450. I said, oh, I'm all in. So I bought one, and then that's when it, snowballed from there. Started, researching the genetics and, is this a real thing? Is this sustainable? Like, is this something I can do?
Right.
Sure enough, it is. So, everybody wants something exotic nowadays, something different. From a Labradoodle to a Frenchie to,
Yep.
As long as you got something that nobody else got, people love it.
So just like that, Bomb Projects is born. We actually have a special guest in the studio. Speaking of flagship, your main
my
co-pilot,
my ambassador,
right? We got Versace is in the Parallax Effect. There he is coming into your screen right now. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Boom. Jasmine's been looking after him.
Model.
There we go. Yeah. We got him in there. Thank you so much.
So this is the mutation that started for me, the piebald.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw one of these, I said, there's no way that thing is real.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I did the research. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's a real It's a real snake.
That's a real
As
snake.
soon as I saw it, I was like, man, that can't be real.
And so the first time I saw you with Versace, I didn't know, I hadn't been privy to the business.
Like this.
Yeah.
He would just hang
and
on my
he
neck
was just chilling there, and I
like
thought,
an ascot.
That's a nice ascot. When did he start wearing those? And we're playing dominoes, and I look away, and I look back, and the ascot kind of shifted. So I was like, oh, maybe he took it off and put it back on. And then I had to look a little closer, like that's not even a. That's a snake.
That's a real thing.
That's not an article of clothing. So since then, I was interested, infatuated, and I learned more about the business. So Bomb Projects. How did we come up with the name?
My partner D, shout out D. She was already doing. She had a side business, independent contractor, and her company was called Bomb Projects. So she worked on websites and development and other stuff. So it was kind of like a perfect transition. I was like, damn, in the snake world, everything is a project. I'm in the pieballs, I'm in the clowns, I'm in the, puzzle, whatever. So every time I watch videos on, people who were breeding snakes, they would always mention a project they were doing. I'm working on this project, that project. So it just fit perfect, projects and snakes and bomb, was a good thing. When I was growing up, if something was the bomb,
right,
that meant
you had to know about
the
it.
best.
Yes, it was.
It didn't get any better than the bomb.
Right.
So Bomb Projects was born, man.
Bomb Projects was born. What is the Instagram and the Facebook handle, the social handles for our folks?
It's bomb_projects.
Bomb_projects on Instagram and Facebook,
So that's
right?
at bomb.
Yeah, I'm sorry. At bomb_projects. Let me get the whole thing in there.
You got to put that.
You may need to roll that TikTok account too, man, because
I know
they blow it. They can blow you up majorly.
Yeah.
As well too, as we found out here.
I need to give Versace his own account.
Yes, Versace does need his own account actually, so we can figure out who's going to manage that account, because we got a couple nieces and nephews that have some free time. You know what I'm saying? That can get some pretty good.
My little Versace scarf.
Versace ascot is in the building. So Bomb Projects, you and D started up. You start breeding ball pythons. Is that correct?
Yeah.
But we know ball pythons as something.
So that's the name that they use. It's widely used now, but the technical name is royal python. That's what they're originally called. So they're indigenous to an area in West Africa, and all the kings from back in the day would, that was the status of the king. The prettiest snake was the status of that king. So this was their jewelry. Hence the name Royal Python.
Well, King Kylan with Versace would be on top of the mountain of all the combinations and breeds that I've seen. So that's Versace's definitely a beautiful snake, man. So that's a Royal Pythons, a sign of
like a status symbol.
A status symbol, yes, indeed. I was gonna say a sign of royalty, but that would use the word to define the word.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense. But
so all you rappers out there, ditch the chain.
This is the new chain.
Yeah, get you a snake.
Get you that ascot. Get you that Versace. Get you that pie. What? This
is a pie ball.
Pie ball. Get you the pie ball for sure. And so now you do reptile shows, right? You do.
Yeah.
How do you? Where do you find yourself going to promote your brand?
We do a lot of promoting on Instagram.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest platform. The biggest reach. So we hit that hard.
And you go live, right?
Yeah, we do a live show on Instagram every Wednesday.
Okay. Around what time?
7 p.m. Eastern.
7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific.
Yeah.
Alexa, whatever time zone you're in, if you're not in one of those two, figure it out. And jump on Instagram to listen and to gain more knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Because
you for sure. We always bring on other breeders.
Good.
In the industry and just shoot the shit.
And so when folks are making their selection, right? They contact you. They contact D. How does that work?
Yeah, you can just DM us directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you show
or you
them.
You can go to our Morph Market page. So Morph Market is like Amazon for reptiles. So if you go to morphmarket.com.
Morphmarket.com. We will have all this information in the show description, by the way.
Yeah.
So all of you can visit.
You can click any reptile link, spiders. They have I want to say probably 70 different species on there. So,
wow. Very good.
Yeah, it's a marketplace where you can basically buy whatever you want.
Morphmarket.com. Make sure you go and visit. Check out Bomb Projects for sure. We, in this, I guess, day and age, culture, whatever, a lot of folks are scared of snakes. They have this perception that we talked about earlier. Yeah. How do you navigate that?
This guy is a big reason, that people get over their fear. As you can see, this guy he's not shy. He's not, he's not jerky. He's not scared. Mm-hmm. And I trust this snake with an infant. I know he won't bite. It's almost, and it's hard for people to grasp that at first. Right. And then I just give them the same analogy. If you came to my house for a pool party and you looked through the sliding glass door and I had a 150-pound Rottweiler out there and I told you he didn't bite, oh my God, you go out there and pet him. Mm-hmm. I said, what's the difference? I said, I'll tell you. The dog got 4-inch canines that's capable of killing you. Mm-hmm. This guy doesn't have any fangs. Like, he's venomous. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any venomless. Mm-hmm. So, if he bit you, it'd feel like a pinch at best. So you should be more scared of my dog than my snake. Right. So it's more of a stigma type thing that people have. Oh, for sure. It does. The movies don't do it any justice. Right. Families, cultures, Yeah. Snakes are always looked upon as, the evil serpent. Right. They made him eat the apple off the tree, which if you read the Bible, that ain't true. Uh-huh. So, you just got to dispel myths. Right. Yeah, that's it. So talking to folks, kind of letting them experience as well too. Really, and then what are some of the responses from your snake owners, the ones that you've turned, from fear to owning? I can tell you it's an addiction. Mm-hmm. Most people, if you buy one, you're gonna get another one. Right. For sure. And like you said, just like with anything, most dog owners, if they have the space, they'll have multiple dogs. They'll have multiple. Or multiple cats or birds or whatever you like, fish. Right. Nobody buys one. Right. Especially if something you like. And especially good for someone who may be a little bit busy, whether that be work or travel, don't have the time every day to come home every night to feed, right? It's the perfect pet. I mean, they require the least of any pet out there. You don't have to feed them every day. If it's a pet, if this was your pet, I would advise you feed them every 3 weeks. Right. They don't burn a lot of calories. They're not active like dogs, so they don't need to eat that often. Right. He'll be totally fine, healthy, so you can go on vacation. You don't need a snake walker or a snake sitter. A snake sitter? Yeah, you don't need that. Not even a snake charmer. You don't need any of that. None of that. He's good. You can leave him alone. When you come back, he's just as happy to see you. He's ready to go, man. Yeah. Ready to go. Yes, for sure. Again, Bomb Projects. That is at bomb_projects on Instagram. We got Kylan Gamell here on the Parallax Effect, joined by Versace, his ambassador, as well too. What's the next reptile show that you're going to be at? The next one will be vending. Will be Pomona Reptile Super Show. That's in January. Yeah. And don't just come to see me. Just come to check it out. If satisfy your curiosity. Satisfy your curiosity. Everything is there. Spiders, birds, snakes. Yeah. They call it a reptile show, but usually it's in the reptiles and what else? Racks. Yep. The spiders are in one hall, and right next to it is a bird show. Right. So you can get a little bit of everything. It's better than going to a petting zoo. Better than going to a petting zoo because the animals, the reptiles are live in front of you. Yeah. You can hold them. You can you can get the experience. You get the Q&A from everybody. Every reptile show that we went to go see you at, on our way in, we've seen at least like 10, 15 people coming out with a new pet. Oh, it's contagious, I'm telling you. It is a very good experience. You helped Jasmine, speaking of Jasmine, my fiance Jasmine, you helped her younger sister overcome her fear of snakes. Yeah, she showed up and was not having it. Right. Like almost to tears of fear. Right. And about 2 hours in, man, she had Versace around her neck and was, taking pictures with other kids that were curious.
Right. Was helping other kids get their fear away, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that was so funny because on the way there, she's like, oh, yeah, of course, I want to go. And that was, one of the main reasons we had brought her. And as soon as she got in there, she you could just see that
fear, that freeze up.
Her whole body turned white. She got all cold.
Another thing, too, I think is it's contagious, like people's behavior. Now, if you walk into a reptile show and everybody's freaking out, you're probably going to freak out too.
Right.
But if you walk in there and everybody's holding stuff and talking and everybody's smiling, it'll relax your concerns. It'll relax your nerves quickly.
Right. Yeah. So no, it was a great experience, great environment for her and everybody else. And I like that when I come to your booth, and shout out to you and D and everybody. You're in the middle of the aisle. You're at another booth. You're out there just really kind of obviously promoting your brand, but just showing what a true ambassador, speaking of ambassador,
for sure,
should be like. You're not going to be way behind the table texting. And,
no. Man, it's a long day, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, you make it a pretty good event, and just being there for the several hours that I was there. Everybody wanted a picture. Like, you made it a good family environment. They got family photos out of it. They had something good.
That's your first experience. Not only that, people now, like I tell them, even the people that are scared, get a picture. Yeah. Nobody's going to believe you.
Right.
Even when you show them the picture, they're not going to believe you. So now
that's
the next show, guess who shows up? Every show, somebody has come back. It was their first time the last time, and they can't wait to come back to the next one.
Or they brought somebody.
Yeah, they don't even buy a snake.
Yeah.
But, they're so intrigued and had such a good time, they come back.
Right.
And that's rewarding, fulfilling,
very glad to hear. Very big ups to you, Kylan Gamell. Bomb projects. Was there any trepidations or struggles starting the business? Did you have to overcome any unforeseen obstacles?
Every business, anything you start, there's going to be bumps for sure. But good things come to those who stick in there. If you just show up every day, doesn't matter what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hard work and passion is going to trump everything.
Right. So, and was there like a threshold or a watershed moment that really pushed the business forward? Or was it just consistency. Just consistency.
Yeah, people see you, and if you're the new guy on the block, that's a tough sell unless you're selling to somebody else that's new. Mm-hmm. But once you're in there and you're always around and people see you, you're visible. And you have some kind of rapport.
Yeah.
People buy from people they like. You know what I mean?
Very much so.
Bottom line, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's why hairstylists, mechanics.
Yeah.
Like when you find a good mechanic,
stick with them.
Man, you don't give a damn.
Yeah. And did your previous stops as a barber, cosmetologist, the manager job, did that factor into what you do now?
Every job that I've ever done or anything that I've ever done and the people I've come across, I talk to today. So going back to Shoe Palace, employees, I don't like to call them employees, but my friends, they're friends. Like we talk. Selling insurance, we talk, It's more of a relationship than a transaction.
Right.
That's what I want people to feel. Like don't feel like it's transactional.
Right. Yeah. And it's developing those relationships. It's going to be a topic for a future conversation that we have. We're going to bring in Eric Antoine for that one too. And we're going to try to do a Parallax Conversations where we're just talking about, developing relationships, building relationships, keeping relationships, those relationships you may not want to keep. So just some of the,
all types of relationships.
All types
of
relationships.
Whether it be work, personal, friends, whatever.
Tons of perspective, tons of insight. Again, we are here with Kylan Gamell. Bomb Projects is the place, or is the I was gonna say it's the place to be, but
right.
It is the premier business to get your designer snake, to learn a lot more about snakes, to get introduced into the reptile community if that's where you're headed as well too. So please do yourself a favor. Morphmarket.com. You can look up his business through there, but you can also join him on Instagram weekly on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. Yeah, follow us. Give him a comment, a message. Yep. Very much so. Just
I
engage.
read every comment. So.
Exactly. Read every comment. Yeah. So you are more than welcome. Did I leave anything out of Bomb Projects? We talked about future kind of.
Nah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered everything.
We covered it, man. So we actually do a kind of rapid fire segment here. It's called Light Speed. So I've tried to write down a couple different quick questions that we may run through.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So this is Light Speed with Kylan Gamell here on the Parallax Effect podcast. Kylan Gamell of Bomb Projects. First up, LeBron or MJ?
Oh, LeBron.
LeBron all the way. And this is probably the most debated topic in sports. What do you think?
For sure.
For sure.
I was debating it earlier today.
Never a dull moment. I am on your side with LeBron. So all you MJ folks, you better speak up in the comments because you are outnumbered right now. But yeah, we even have it amongst our own folks. Jonesy, shout out to Jonesy out there if you watching. He's an MJ guy. Eric funny. Is too. So we kind of do this. Speaking of wrestling, this tag in, tag out thing with those two.
Yep.
To talk about who is and for us, we've talked about this for a while. The longevity is a huge thing for LeBron. A lot of people try to put the championships against each other.
I don't do team accolades.
I don't do team accolades either. And the thing that
if that's the standard, right? Then we talking about Bill Russell.
Talking about Bill Russell.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we championships is your standard.
If that's the marker,
then there's so many people in front of Jordan. Why are we even talking?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Then that's different. Nah, you don't get to do that.
Yeah, then they get to redefine it after they've established.
You don't get to do that.
Right. And I mean, look, and it's not. This is not a poo-poo on Michael Jordan type of thing, but the 6-for-6 championships, I always really.
Hey, you can't take that from that team.
Right.
The 6-for-6, you can't take it. Right. And they always, LeBron got 6 losses. I say, yeah, but he's been there.
Right.
You got to get there to lose.
And
so nobody wants to talk about all the times that MJ couldn't get there.
And that's my point about the 6-for-6. Like, you're not 6-for-6. You're 6 for however many years you played in the league. Because every year the goal is to win the championship.
Exactly.
We can't just cancel out years that you didn't make the championship.
Like, no, he played 13 seasons.
Right.
He's 6 for 13.
But
they moved the goalposts. But people do that for, when you have an argument, that's human nature.
Yeah.
You like a certain thing.
Yeah, you got to stack your own chips.
I'm going to create the narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to control that part of the conversation.
Yeah. Sure.
So definitely a debate that lives on. You know where we stand. Where do you stand? Send us your comments on either if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you're probably mesmerized by Versace, the ambassador of Bomb Projects, and that's all good.
Yeah, you're probably thinking he's gonna choke him right now.
Yeah, like you're just waiting.
Get him off.
It is not gonna happen. Let's get over that fear, y'all. Let's get over that fear.
Free neck massage right
exactly. A bang for your buck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Favorite Mike Tyson fight?
Oh, Trevor Burbick.
Burbick.
When he won the championship.
I can't remember how old he was. I mean, I want to say it was 18 because I feel like that's the number that's stuck in my head.
It's either 18 or 20, something like that.
And just being that young and boxing back then was
a grown man sport.
Yeah, it still is, but I mean, it doesn't hold the prominence that it did back then. So being on top of that sport was being on top of the world because you're a true world champion.
No, you were the baddest man on the planet.
The baddest man on the planet. Wow, what a moment for sure, man. I'm so glad you got to experience that. Favorite Eddie Murphy movie?
There's so many, man. And what I always tell people, because I ask these questions too, right? When they say, oh, that's tough. I said, there's an easy way to figure that out. Which one have I watched the most? Mm-hmm. It would probably be Coming to America.
Coming to America is...
I probably watched that one the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's talk about longevity.
Yeah, I mean, that's just staying power.
Wow.
It's gonna be a toss up. It's either Coming to America or I watched Trading Places a lot.
Trading Places, that's an underrated one. I'll give you another underrated one too, though. Have you ever seen Showtime?
No,
dude.
No.
Showtime.
It's funny. That one, like, I don't know what I was doing in my life.
Yeah.
And how they didn't market that.
Yeah.
But everybody who's seen it said the same thing.
Dude, him and Robert De Niro, and it was just a combination of those two.
This is what I'm saying. Like, how was that not promoted?
Right.
Two, like,
mega
legends.
Stars.
Legends, man. That's crazy. So,
I think Rotten Tomatoes or something got a hold of it and whatever. You know how that is.
That's how it works.
The movie critics, man. The movie critics. But yeah, that's one you definitely need to check out because that's one of my favorite movies of his. Showtime. But yeah, he's got a great catalog all the way through and still doing it to this day.
Yeah, that's funny.
Still doing it to this day, Eddie Murphy. Favorite vacation destination? Pompeii. All of us know about Mount Vesuvius and the ruins. So what did you see when you were there?
Man, just to walk those hollow grounds, man. It's a trip. It's life-changing, for real.
Wow.
You know, to be somewhere that's still standing, you know, that was there 500 years before Christ.
Right.
You know, it's nuts. It's nuts just to be there and to see how modern it really was back then.
Right.
You know, sewers, sidewalks.
Really?
Water fountains.
Wow.
Like real houses, like with bedrooms. And yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you would think 500 years before Christ, I would think a Neanderthal or something.
Right.
You know.
Just a cave and a bunch of sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Maybe a teepee, maybe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was crazy.
All right, Jasmine, we got to get to Pompeii to see all the sights there. So we're gonna add that to our list.
That whole part of Italy is nice. That whole Amalfi Coast is where it's at.
It's where it's at, huh?
Where it's at.
There we go.
It's a special place.
You heard it here from Kylan Gamell. Get to Pompeii. It is not all the ruins. There is something for you to see there. That is for sure.
Good food.
Good food
and
too.
Good wine.
And good wine.
Yeah.
You had me at food, then you really had me at wine. How many times have you been asked to be in a wedding?
Oh, to be in a wedding?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I don't know. I can't count. Probably in the teens.
Lost count. And how many times have you been the best man?
I want to say at least 3. Forgive me if it's more.
Yeah. So it's so much you lost count.
Yeah.
I asked you that because we hinted on in the intro, being from Pasadena, but and you're humble too. I'm gonna say it for you. Everywhere we go together, from the time I don't know however old I was when we was doing whatever we was doing, somebody stops you. Somebody is waving you down. Somebody knows you. So I convinced myself that everybody in the city of Pasadena, and which is not a small place.
Right.
And so a couple years ago, I was doing physical therapy. One of my patients comes in. He's from Compton. And we always exchange pleasantries right away. Like, what's up, man? I started calling him Compton's finest. And he started calling me the Prince of Pasadena, right? And I was like, that got a nice ring to it. But I really know who the Prince of Pasadena is. And it is my cousin, Kylan Gamell, because he literally knows everybody in the city. And he's got the royal python around his neck to prove it. So we got the best man. We got the Prince of Pasadena. We have coined it. Kylan Gamell is in the Parallax Effect once again. That's Bomb Projects. Find him on Instagram. Find him on Facebook at Bomb Projects. Do yourself a favor because you'll be pleasantly surprised if you don't really know anything about snakes and reptiles. But you'll even still be pleasantly surprised to see all the different. We're not calling them blends, but we're calling them
morphs.
Morphs. All the different morphs. That him and deLara have
paint jobs.
Different paint jobs. Yes, indeed. Speaking of, let's get back to the fears real quick. So you obviously do not fear snakes, obviously, which is good.
I did.
You did at one point.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. That's news to me because I used to remember watching you, my brother. We talked about earlier.
And it's
Spice.
funny. Your mom had a snake when we were kids.
Right.
They had a boa constrictor. It's probably like a 7-foot boa.
Right.
Big. Yeah.
And I had a Florida king snake back in the.
I wasn't scared of that snake. Mm-hmm. I was scared of, like, I always had a nightmare of king cobras. Just, you know, I'd wake up and they were on the floor of the room, and there's thousands of them.
Right, and you
know,
can't go
screaming
nowhere.
for my mom. Yeah, you know, it's like a lava pit. Like, I gotta jump over these snakes. That was my fear.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know, if you had it as a pet,
You were good.
you know, maybe I wasn't smart enough to know that something could hurt me. Mm-hmm. But if it was somebody's pet, I was cool with it.
Yeah. It's the, like you said, it's the environment that you walk into,
exactly.
right?
I was like, oh, cool, it's your pet.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I had a Florida.
Shit, your mom had a monkey.
Yeah, we had everything.
Yeah, monkey, dogs, fish,
piranha.
Yeah.
The piranha. I was just talking to somebody the other day. They tried to stick their finger in there when we were younger.
Yeah, that's funny.
And that almost was a bad event. But you know what I named my snake? King snake?
What?
I named him Dion, after Deion Sanders.
Man,
yeah.
there it is.
So there's
Prime.
the influence. Prime. But where was I going with this? What fears do you have? Or do you have any fears?
I can't think of a fear. You know, maybe the only fear I got is fear of God. You know, did I do enough to get to the other side? Or am I going to be looking in? Whatever that is, you know, I don't, you know, you hear gates, you hear heaven, you know, heaven could be down, it could be up. I don't know, but did I do enough?
To get there,
That's
right?
it.
Well, you got my vote, even though, you know, I'm just a humanly figure, obviously. But if that means anything to you. But let me list off a couple of phobias. And these, I kind of Googled, I Googled the top 10 phobias, but every top 10 was a little bit different. So I just wrote some of them down.
Okay.
And you could tell me if you've experienced. First of all, I'm going to tell you what it is.
Okay.
You see if you can tell me what it means, because I'm going to just give you the name.
Okay.
And then you can tell me if you have any experience with that. You ready? And I may not pronounce these correctly.
If this is anything like Jeopardy, I don't know shit.
Oh, that's all right. You might surprise yourself on this one, but you may not be able to figure it out because I won't pronounce it right. But we're gonna figure it out. Acrophobia. You know what that is?
That's acrophobia. Mm-hmm. That would be fear of snakes.
No, that's gonna be fear of heights, like an acrobat.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you ever have that?
See what I'm saying? I was just guessing.
But that's
all
all good.
I went with the obvious.
Yeah. No. It's
fear
coming though.
No.
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 How about aerophobia?
Would that be flying?
Yeah, fear of flying. There you go.
Aerophobia, not at all. I'd love to fly.
Me too. I'm asleep before the plane takes off. The person next to me needs the Dramamine.
No, I like bucket list type. I want to hang glide.
Oh, really?
I think that's the closest a human can get to flying.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you skydive?
I've done that already.
Oh, you've done it already.
Oh,
yeah. Well, see, you've been there, done that.
Yeah. So the heights and air, I'm cool.
Is no big deal.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's get down the list here. Arachnophobia.
Yes, spiders.
You don't have that.
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, spiders freak me out.
Okay, so you wasn't around when we caught that.
So there's levels to fear, right? If a black widow walked across this table or a tarantula, I'm not gonna be the one to touch it.
Right.
But I'm not also gonna be the one to, oh my God, run out the room. Mm-hmm. I'm not that scared.
You're gonna keep your distance.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my distance.
So
I'm cautious.
I don't remember if you came by when a Kim caught a tarantula in the backyard, and we kept it for I think it had to be over a month. We fed it crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the what ended up happening. We might have let him go or something like that, because eventually enough people come by we're not coming over anymore if that tarantula might get up. So we had to let him go. But she caught it, and she did not run the other way. She did not keep her distance. She caught it.
That's something I would do.
Yeah.
So fear, maybe not. Cautious. Mm-hmm. I would label that as cautious.
Cautious. All right. Cautious of spiders.
Yeah.
Here's your one coming up right here. Ophidiophobia.
Ophibia.
Ophidiophobia. Yeah.
That's snakes?
That's the fear of snakes right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
See?
I don't have that.
You got a bunch coming up. I mean, you know a bunch of these.
Right.
Cynophobia. I may be pronouncing that wrong. I don't know.
Cyno.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to get this one.
Fear of speed limit signs.
Yeah. This one, cynophobia. This one is the fear of dogs.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't have got that.
Never got that. I love dogs.
Trypanophobia.
Taking trips.
I wouldn't have got that one either. Fear of injections.
Like needles? Cautious.
Cautious. Okay.
I'll do it.
Right. So we got 2 cautious on here, and the rest were good, right?
Yeah.
Astrophobia.
What is that? Astrology?
Okay. You're on the right track.
Astronaut, like space or something?
Fear of thunder and lightning. You close on that one.
Fear? No.
Don't have that one, right?
No.
Monophobia. And this is the fear of being alone.
I don't have a fear of being alone. No. I don't like to be alone.
You don't?
No. I'm a people person.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
But
that
think
is very
about
true.
this. Let's pause for a second. And if you can just think of the worst punishment that anybody can have, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Solitary confinement.
Where do they put the baddest people? You're on murderer's row. Mm-hmm. And you fuck up in there. Where do they throw you? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to go in the hole.
This is true.
That's the worst fear, man. Shit, that drove Will Smith crazy. In I Am Legend.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
Right.
Nobody wants to be alone.
Right.
Nobody or anything.
So
everybody seeks.
Could we call that a fear?
A fear of
for
being
you
alone?
Being alone? Do you fear it?
I don't fear it, no.
Okay. But you don't obviously don't prefer it.
Yeah, I don't want it.
I got you. Moving on the list here, that's a really good point. That is the worst punishment.
Worst punishment, I'm telling you.
This is either mesophobia or mysophobia. I'm not sure which one it is. Y'all out there?
Fear of mice?
Fear of germs and dirt.
No. I thought that was a germaphobe.
That's what I would call it too.
Maybe it's a technical name.
Yeah. Okay. This is a one here. I don't know if you've heard of this one before. Triophobia. Triophobia.
Fear of trees?
Fear of holes or clusters of small holes. I think it was
an example.
like a honeycomb. Or like an empty pomegranate, a sponge.
Right.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No, okay.
No,
that
I'm
one.
not, yeah, that's probably somebody who watched a scary movie.
Yeah,
worms or something,
see something crawl up out of there. Yeah.
No fear.
Atychophobia. I'm probably butchering
What
these.
is that?
This is the fear of failure.
No, I can't say I'm scared of failure.
At one point I was.
I do a lot of shit that I should have been scared to breed snakes for a living.
Right.
Nah.
That one can hold you back.
Yeah,
because it's gonna happen.
That's a gripping fear.
Yeah.
But yeah, failure for me is progress. That's how I look at it.
Right.
Nobody's gonna do everything right.
Right.
Everybody fails in one capacity or another. So I'm not scared of no. Somebody telling me no. And I'm not scared of failure,
What are your fears out there in the audience out there, everybody listening or watching? Jump in the comment section. Let us know. Did we miss any on the top 10 list?
Right. Yeah,
you can correct me if I said them wrong. That's all right. I'm no problem. I don't fear being corrected.
Right.
We have just you made it through the list. A man of no fears, but a man of several cautions.
Yeah,
that's
couple cautions.
Couple cautions. Nothing wrong with that at all. We got the Prince of Pasadena, the best man, King Kylan Gamell, Bomb Project. Shout out to deLara as well.
Shout out to the partner.
This has been
couldn't do it without her.
Man, this has been fun, man. I've been looking forward to this episode for a very, very long time.
Appreciate it, man. I'm humble.
We talked a little bit earlier about your ability to conversate, your ability to speak your mind, communicate well, and all that kind of stuff. How you like doing podcasts? How you like? It
was fun. I liked it.
Yeah,
I like being on this side.
Because
I think if I had to do the editing and all that, there might be a fear there.
But you know where I was getting
fear
at.
of editing.
I was getting at trying to get you on the host side, man, because there's so many great stories to tell, interviews to be had.
Right.
Bomb projects. You can do the Bomb Projects podcast.
Yeah, I definitely got to do that. That's coming soon.
That is coming soon. You heard it. Soon. Breaking news on the Parallax Effect podcast. We got the Bomb Projects podcast coming soon to a screen and to a speaker near you.
For For sure.
What did we learn today, man? I always learn a lot, obviously.
Yeah, I learned a bunch of phobias.
A bunch of phobias.
And I'll probably never be able to pronounce them again.
No, I'm probably not going to give that another shot for a while either.
What was it? Trypophobia?
The
fear of holes?
The trip. What did I say? Yeah, triophobia. Triophobia. Yeah, that is. Assuming that I copied it down right and said it right. It's crazy.
I can sleep good tonight knowing I learned something today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can sleep good knowing that you don't really have any fears. And we went through the fears and you still didn't have them. So now we are confirmed.
We're good.
This has been another episode of the Parallax Effect podcast. Please be sure to rate us. We hope for 5 stars so we can get your opinion because we care about your opinion, but also we can reach other people with our show. Please leave comments, communicate with us. Let me know how I can do better. Always looking to improve, obviously. You can find us on Instagram at Parallax Effect Media, on Twitter at Parallax Effects with an S. Once again, that's Parallax Effects with an S. On Facebook at the Parallax Effects Podcast. And like I mentioned earlier, we are on TikTok. And we need followers. Go to our page, Parallax Effect Media. A lot of great stuff is on there. Kylan Gamell, the Prince of Pasadena. Where can they find you?
Instagram at bomb_projects.
At bomb_projects.
Facebook, Morph Market.
Morph Market as well. The links will be in the show description. Follow up with us. We definitely look forward to hearing from you. But for now, thank you for joining the Parallax Effect podcast, where every angle reveals a new depth of understanding. You've been watching the Parallax Effect podcast, where every angle reveals a new depth of understanding.